Hey everyone. So we got some big updates recently to the Puerto Rico arsonist Karen saga. So if you'll recall, last we left off, tourist Danielle Bertothy, whose name absolutely no one in the media seemed capable of getting right, was accused by the Puerto Rican police of starting an absolutely massive structure fire that destroyed 3 businesses and severely damaged a 4th after being kicked out of one of said businesses, the Bar Maria. And for a little bit there, it seemed like this lady was going to get away with this, and the police in the States maybe weren't taking it seriously, until we heard that the case had been handed over to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and saw footage from Bertothy's neighbor of her being led into an ATF vehicle, though it was unclear at the time if she was being actually arrested because she didn't seem to have handcuffs on. Many presumed this meant she was just being taken in for questioning, but was not yet under arrest. And that was the last that we'd seen of Danielle. That video is 11 days ago now. But boy, oh boy, do I have an update for you guys. So right after this footage was published, we learned that it was the ATF serving a search warrant of her property in St. Peter's. That was what that event was that was caught by her neighbor on camera. And her neighbor, Kelly Roofcar, sorry if I butchered that, Roofcar, was the one who took this footage that we couldn't 100% verify was real and actually her, but it is. And this was really her neighbor. That's pretty hilarious that she saw this story online and was like, oh, I'm gonna record her getting raided. So on January 16th, after about a week of quiet on the Bertothy front, local Missouri news outlet Fox 2 Now revealed that she had just been indicted by a grand jury on an arson charge, more specifically, use of fire to destroy any building affecting interstate commerce, and was scheduled to appear in court the next day, January 17th, which you'll notice if you've been studiously watching your calendar, has happened. If convicted, she'd face a mandatory minimum punishment of 5 to 20 years in prison. And folks, they have her on camera, and apparently they have her on another camera angle we didn't see before, where it's very clearly her, I would say, holding this gas canister. It's very likely, in my opinion, very likely that this becomes an open and shut case. They have so much evidence and appear to even have her dead to rights here on all of these videos. So the next day, January 17th, she showed up in court, and local news station First Alert 4 sent a journalist to attend who described her as shackled, wearing a Grateful Dead sweatshirt, apparently the same one she was hauled away by ATF in that video, and showed very little emotion as she answered the judge's simple questions. But more importantly, we got her first court document, a motion from the prosecution to keep Bertothy detained before her trial. And it's here that we get all of the evidence that the prosecutors had against Bertothy. And folks, I mean, we knew that we had someone similar looking to her with a gas can on a couple of videos. There was evidence of some kind of human figure, though too blurry to tell who, lighting this fire. But I didn't realize just how much evidence they actually have against Danielle Bertothy. First and foremost, we get a thorough account of everything police know happened that night. She showed up drunk at the Bar Maria around 8:30 p.m., ordered a few more drinks, and proceeded to get, quote, belligerent and argumentative with the staff and the fellow patrons. And then she refused the owner's requests for her to leave. They called the police show up pretty quickly and escort her back to her Airbnb, which, by the way, we learn from these documents and the pictures that they provide, is this close to the bar. But about 20 minutes later, she shows up again, more agitated than before, and when police were called again to take care of her, she left of her own accord. They then caught a woman in a black dress and some black slip-on shoes walking with a gasoline canister toward the location where the fire was about to start only moments later at 12:25 a.m. Surveillance then catches the same person headed back in the direction of precisely where Bertothy's Airbnb is, which is super fishy. Then, at 9:37 a.m. the following morning, Bertothy asked her friend to pick her up and take her to the airport, though As investigators would discover, she made no prior plans for transportation to the airport or for the flight back to her home state prior to this morning. This gave her the clear appearance of fleeing the scene of this crime, but guys, check this out. They actually caught her on camera at the airport ordering from Subway. Disgusting. Don't know why you'd eat there. And she appears to be wearing the exact same shoes as the person in the black dress caught on camera with the gas canister. We also learned that while people thought between January 3rd and January 7th that law enforcement in the states weren't really doing anything about this, they had actually interviewed Bertothy on January 3rd, so they were pretty quick about this. And she apparently told St. Peter's police that she had done some things that were, quote, out of character in Puerto Rico. She also claimed she didn't know if there was a fire at the bar that night. And keep in mind, she was literally right here, and this blaze was absolutely massive. You could have seen this from all around. The sirens would have been blaring and everything. There's no way that she didn't notice this. So on January 7th, they have a search warrant. They raid her house, and get this, she starts to cry and hyperventilate immediately when they get there and tell her, hey, we have a search warrant, we're coming in. And she immediately tells them, unprompted, mind you, that she has cocaine in her house. But that actually wasn't the worst thing they found for her, crazy enough, because they then found multiple clothing items that perfectly matched all of the clothing we saw this person wearing while carrying the canister to and from the scene of the crime. Additionally, they had a canine unit come in and smell the dress that looked identical to the one that this person was wearing, whoever this was, in the security footage. And the canine unit indicated that it had traces of accelerant on it. Agents also noticed, get this, a bunch of empty wine boxes and beer cans. So Danielle kept the party alive when she got home, it sounds like. But the party didn't last long because she's now in custody, and given the evidence against her being really, really incredibly darning from my perspective, it may be the last drink she has for a long time. The prosecutor who filed this roughly 17-page document, Stephen Muldrow, goes on to lay the case that Bertothy is a flight risk and should remain in jail pending her trial. He describes her as calculated and remorseless in her execution of this crime, alleging that she returned to her Airbnb to plot this attack for several hours, changed her clothes, and then even came back out of her Airbnb afterward to admire her handiwork after she saw the fire growing out of control, instead of calling 911. Muldrow makes the case that Bertothy is dangerous, callous with human life, and unpredictable, being that arson is recognized as a violent crime, and that she showed absolutely no care or concern for the 20-plus people staying at the adjoined business, Luigi's Seaside Hotel, who were saved by, quote, good firefighters and luck. But she very easily could have gotten these people killed or seriously hurt. He also makes the case that her willingness to quickly flee Puerto Rico, other than face the consequences of her completely insane actions, was further reason to keep her detained. It showed that she had a willingness to run away. So overall, Danielle has been arrested, her house raided. They have her on video wearing the same clothes they found later at her house and with the same shoes she had on at the subway. The person whose Airbnb she was renting confirms that the gas canister that he had given her, along with the generator because of the power outages on New Year's Eve, perfectly matched what he could see was the gas canister in the videos. And then she fled the next day on what was clearly an impromptu change of travel plans. And she even admitted to having cocaine in her house, which, by the way, is a Class D felony in and of itself in the state of Missouri. You know, overall, I gotta say she was pretty terrible at planning this crime. Very poor execution for having 4 hours to think about how you do this. The fact that you came up with walk across the street in your regular clothes with your face completely exposed to everyone with a gas canister that's the Airbnb owners. Like, what? I guess a dumb criminal is better than a smart one. I hope you all enjoyed the update. We'll be keeping a close eye on this lady and her case, and I'll see you guys soon.